Good. So we are going to start off. We have Stephen Johnson with Blue Water Homes. And
Yes.
spotlight you so we can all see your face.
Now,
Right.
I only see three people. Is that, am I
No,
only seeing the abbreviated version?
we have the room. We have you're
Oh,
seeing
okay. Very good.
all the Zoomer people. So I'll have you look at the room.
Very, very good. I didn't know. I thought this was about to be a really intimate, short conversation. And less intimate, but I'll keep it short, I promise.
Sounds good.
So some of you we've met a couple weeks ago at that very office, and appreciate you guys making the time. So I had met with Lois last Friday, and I was just kind of sharing a story about a process that we were going through with actually one of the KW referrals that we had received, and kind of sharing the what was happening with this particular referral. She's like, "Oh, that's really interesting. You should share that with the team." And so this is me transitioning from a conversation I had with Lois on Friday to just kind of sharing the story with the team. But as we are a custom home builder, and our goal is to work with as many of your clients to represent you as well as possible, and so you can be a key resource for those clients on and down the road, and future referrals, and for future homes that they're looking to buy and so forth. Obviously, in our world of new construction and remodels, most of our biggest asset is helping you when somebody has purchased land and is looking to kind of go through that process of converting that land into their dream home. So the conversation I had was all in regards to one of the clients that actually had purchased land from an agent about 7 years ago. It happens to be here in Lake Chelan. And now is the year that they're finally looking to build. So they'd been sitting on this dirt, and they'd gone back to the real estate agent and said, "Hey, who should we talk to? How do we begin this process of converting this half-acre lot into a beautiful home?" And we were fortunate enough to be brought into the process. But what I explained in our conversation was, unfortunately, the homeowner, property owner, it was a little kind of backwards on how they were going about their process, and I think it's led to some inefficiencies, and ultimately, I don't know if we're going to be the right fit for them, based on the fact that, well, they didn't really engage the market what I would consider the best way possible. And so as you're trying to be a resource for clients and guide them in the right direction, I shared what was the preferred way that we like to do it, and just going to take a moment to explain that now. So when somebody's looking to make that change from and engage with the beginning of the process, there's really two main parties that they need to talk to. And that's the builder and the architect. There's some companies out there that have like an in-house design along with the builder themselves. We decided not to go that route because we believe it offers us more flexibility with the style of homes, because typically architects have a unique style in their own. Like, they might be modern or they might be more classical, but they're not usually all of those things, right? They're not all things to all people. And we believe, because we are, craftsmen, and we can follow the plans to a T, and even go beyond that, that it's in, that we didn't want to pigeonhole ourselves to one specific design. Well, when I say there's two, you want to engage the architect, you want to engage the builder. Sometimes those are kind of in the same company. We believe it's best when they're two separate entities, because if somebody comes to Blue Water and is like, "All right, how do we begin?" We want to understand, okay, what style of home are you looking for? What's the square footage, general outline of rooms? Send us pictures and links and all of these things so that we can have a good understanding of what is your specific style. And then we immediately transition to, okay, what architects do we know, whether it's here in North Central Washington or possibly there's a good fit on the other side of the mountains, that can be a great resource for this client. And we typically like to engage with 3 different architects to help them with that design process. So, and generally speaking, it's kind of that maybe most affordable to maybe a little bit more extravagant, right? So at the end of the day, the client is really making the decision what they think is best. But we want to be close partners with the architect, because the more time and investment a client makes with ensuring that the plans for their home are exactly the way that they want them and that they can afford, is really important, and ultimately saves the client a lot of money and heartache down the road. So when somebody comes to the builder, us first, we try to get a general understanding of what's required, or what they want, what their dreams are, and then we try to pair them with the right architect, because without plans, we can't forecast a specific budget of what the cost per square foot is, right? And that's always the question that people want to talk. What's the cost per square foot? And it's a huge range, largely dependent upon what the style and the fixtures and materials that you're using in your home. So the other pathway is that people go directly to the architect, right? They maybe know someone, or they visited a friend who has a beautiful home, and they're like, man, who is your architect? We would love to work with them. And they engage in that conversation. And then it's the architect who is either helping them get connected with the builder, or then they engage the market and are trying to find the right builder for that specific set of plans. But the reality is, without plans, without having some level of design more than just drawings, it's almost impossible for any builder to put a number on the price for the price of that home. And sometimes, and in the example that I was sharing with Lois last Friday was, the client had spent a little bit of money on some drawings to kind of have a concept of the style of home they want. The reality is, the style of that type of house is it's a timber frame style house. And if anyone knows, like big exposed beams, it's a more custom, more higher square foot price than just a more standard home. And so we kind of gave a range, but we said, hey, we really don't know yet, because we haven't seen any detailed plans, and you don't know the exact square foot, you don't know the size of the house and some of these features that hadn't been picked out. And so he got kind of scared off by the fact that, like we had said, it's like probably in the $400 per square foot range based on what you've told us, but don't quote us. We don't know yet because we haven't seen anything. He had spoken to somebody else, and they had, I believe, given him a much lower number, which is honestly, we believe, a very unrealistic number. And it kind of goes back to the whole notion of people often in this marketplace underbidding in order to win business, and then ultimately costing the client a lot more money down the road. My last little quick story is talking to an architect in Wenatchee as recently as this morning, and he has a client that he designed, built a beautiful home in East Wenatchee, and the client ultimately went far beyond what was originally in the drawings, and the original budget was 1.3 million, and I guess the house came out to be about 2.2, which is a huge discrepancy between 900,000. Most people don't have just $900,000 lying around to finish their home. So, but imagine that happening with someone who doesn't have that that amount of disposable income to kind of, and just how gut-wrenching of a process it would be to be in that situation where you have a 60% completed home, and you've already dropped 1.3 million because not all the parties were communicating well to each other. So that was just a little bit of the kind of the stories I shared with Lois, and whether that resonates with everyone on this call or not. She's like, well, can you share that with my team? And I was like, sure, I'll take 5-10 minutes and share that. And so and now it's 10 minutes. So yeah, Ashley, I don't know if you want to take the reins back, or if there's any quick questions that come to mind, but just wanted to give you a little bit of that tidbit and go about your meeting.
Yeah, we actually, our lender today was not able to make it, so we do have a little bit more time if you do. Anne Marie's asking if you come out to Okanagan County.
Yes, depends where. Like, are we talking more Brewster or Twisp? I'm sorry, not twist, but I meant to say Tenasket. So location and size of the home. We're looking to have more of a presence in the Met and than we currently do. So absolutely, we're looking to expand our reach into Okanagan County, but the size of the home and the style of the home does play a factor in that, to be honest, because it is a little bit we would have to deploy more resources to go a little bit further out. And so, for the right innovative project, we would 100% look to be a resource.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, we could always talk to people and point them in another direction and understand what they're doing. Like, it never hurts to have a conversation with someone, even if we're not the best fit.
Sweet. Anna Marie, did you have something to say?
Let me get off mute. Yeah, hi, Stephen. Thank you for coming aboard. No, I have a lot of land out here in Okanagan, Brewster, Medhal, Pateros. And I do have people that ask at times, can you get a builder? Now, I have a buffet of builders out here, but I'd like to, being that you're our kind of premier, I'd like to give you first option to say no. So as I didn't know if you are, because some people they stop. Say no. They stop at Moses Lake or at Chelan. They park themselves there. So thinking that we're not a high price point out here. So I was just wondering if that was the same with your company. That's
Yeah, no, we absolutely, that's a market that we want to explore. We just haven't, most of our homes have been in Chelan, moving south, down the river to Wenatchee, Leavenworth area. We just haven't had the right opportunity at this point to kind of expand north. But what would 100% be grateful for the opportunity to talk to somebody in Okanagan County. Thank you.
Do you have a few more minutes? I don't know if everybody in the room today has heard about kind of how you guys do your bids. I think you called it the stipulated bid, if I'm saying that correctly.
I do have to run, but I will explain how that works, though, really, if that's okay, and then I can jump.
Well, actually, Sydney said she had a question because I was rude and didn't ask the room if they had questions, so we could probably just do that instead.
No, you're good. I'm sure it'll be a really quick one. Hi, Stephen. It's Sydney.
Hi.
I was just wondering, so when we're having the conversation, about like, okay, what comes first? Would you think like having like somewhat of a plan, how you can get those ones online, like just something like that to like take to builders to work with, even if it's not the final, but like, hey, this is kind of what we're thinking, this kind of square footage, just kind of lay out these kind of finishes, that will help them make a more educated decision.
100%. If they're willing to invest, there's free programs too. I could share, offline some of that information that's maybe helpful to provide your clients. I think sometimes the fear is that they're like, oh, I can do this free program or spend next to nothing, and that's all I need to get started. And then they're like shocked when they're like, well, actually it's like $35,000 out of pocket that you're going to be looking to spend for like a more complete set of plans.
Yeah.
And that's a huge difference. And they're like, whoa, why would, that's a scary number, but it is a necessary one, unfortunately. But yes, the more information that somebody has or they can bring to the table is always helpful. It's not required. But honestly, in some ways it's great when the client has a set of plans because they've already gone to an architect and they've engaged in that process. But when they do that, we're maybe they might have already also talked to a builder at that point too. So we like to talk to people as soon as possible for selfish reasons, as I would imagine everyone in the room wants to engage with their client sooner than later.
Great, thank you.
Anna Marie, you raised your hand unless you need to jump off. You can totally jump off if you need to.
Go ahead.
It was Amanda.
Oh, it was Amanda. Whoever raised their hands. Yep, it was Amanda. Sorry.
That's all right. Hey, just really quick question. What is kind of the pulse on building right now? How are builders feeling? Are you guys busy? You guys feel like the rates and stuff are slowing you down?
Yeah, I mean, rates are obviously a challenge on the construction loan side, and just the price scaring, the interest rate scaring people, as you guys certainly are well aware of. We actually have a healthy number of what we call starts, homes that we're planning to engage with. Like right now, and we try to do like a new start every month. Is kind of, we're looking to do 12 to 15 homes this year. And so that is kind of how we kind of gauge our and so far we're trending in that direction. So it's as much as kind of the second half of 23 slowed down, and it certainly did. 24 looks like it's going to be okay from our perspective, but still very down from 22 and 21. So, which I'm sure you guys could relate to as well.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
Well, thanks
And the last bit is that we do what's called stipulated sum pricing, which is a fixed bid amount, which is uncommon in this marketplace, where people like to do what's called cost plus, where it's the house is going to cost what we think it's going to cost, and it might cost more, and which is a pretty vague way to go about budgeting, for somebody who, again, doesn't have hundreds of thousands of dollars of disposable income beyond what their house cost. So we do stipulated sum pricing. We do such a detailed job on the pre-construction work, accounting for every screw and fixture that goes into that house, so that if the price of the home is more than what we quote, it comes out of our pocket. So versus just saying, hey, we kind of think it's going to be this amount, probably going to be more, but we'll try to keep it as close as possible. That's a real vague and disconcerting feeling for a lot of folks, especially if you've heard horror stories of homes becoming 50% more than what was originally budgeted for. So that's one way that we handle it, and we're pretty proud of that, because it requires us to be incredibly detailed and on time and on budget. So I have to run to a Rotary meeting, so I need to say goodbye, but thank you so much for having me on, and look forward to continued conversations throughout the year.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thanks, Stephen. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.
And also, this is one of their builds. They're pretty.
So pretty.
Can't wait till I'm rich
And
talk my husband into doing it.
So-
Oh, yeah, it's on the
Actually-
outside.
Can you ask Anne Marie if Okanagan ever went forward with their overnight rental, if they restricted some areas?
Did you hear
You
that?
must be meaning Pateras.
Yes.
Pateras had the meeting. To be honest, I think they did the restriction, and that's what killed a few deals. I think,
Yeah, Lois had one that.
Lois lost the deal because of that. I don't know. I have to reach out to Kelly Hook, the mayor, and just double check on that. It's kind of
So
like,
how about Pateros? Did they ever propose any restrictions on vacation rentals in Brewster?
no, well, Brewster has a few, they don't allow it, and they're getting kind of restrictive on, what you have, because they found a lot of people are living in the trailers, so the ADU units are being watched. You can't live in them, and I don't know, it's kind of weird, but overall, in talking with the Okanagan planning commissioners, we don't have code enforcement, but we are a complaint driven district, which to me is kind of stupid. But, so if nobody complains, do whatever you want. If they complain, then it's different. So that's where I know, and that was from P, our county commissioner, county planning. So I'm taking that gospel, I mean, I told her, I guess you guys are going to want to hire code enforcement. And they're going, well, we don't have that plan yet. So I'll let you know. I'll follow up on the Pateras and make sure I got that right, and I'll give information.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay.
Julie, do you want to talk about things?
Okay. Yeah, thanks.
That's how I speak. You guys know all that now.
Should I just sit right here?
Yeah, I love
Okay,
sitting.
I have notes because I'm not a public speaker. That's all.
Okay, so do you guys know who Mel Robbins is? Anybody listen to her podcast?
No, but I
Right,
like her.
you guys should. Yeah, so she just did this podcast on how to design your, I don't know what it was called, design your dream life or something. So basically, she did this journaling exercise where you think of a time in your life when you were really, really happy. You know, and it could be in your childhood, it could be in like when you're in your 20s or your whatever, a couple years ago. And then you divide a line down the side of the paper and you put like all the things you were doing, you know, like I was getting up early, I was going to work at this time, and then I would work out and, or whatever it was. And then on the other side of the paper, you write down what your life is now. And it's kind of a roadmap to show you like what you should be doing if you want that. And if you can't think of a time when you were happy ever, then you write down what you're doing and you realize that you shouldn't be doing, there's something in there, there's a clue. So I was thinking about this and I was like, okay, there's been several times in my life that I can look at and go, okay, I was most excited about life when I was like leaning forward, I was doing really like challenging things. Not that I like doing hard, challenging things, I don't like it, but I was excited about life. Like, cause you know, you overcome something and you're like, I did that, I'm so cool. And so that just started me thinking about Legion because nobody likes it. And I mean, it's like, you have to have something that motivates you. I mean, a lot of times it's money, right? I mean, if you're in dire straits, it's gonna push you to do something, but you have to. So because the pain has to be worth it, right? So, and we all know that resistance will stop us. And for me, it's like fear of rude people. Like I had this rude lady this week and I was calling on an expired listing and she's like, I'm just gonna stop you right there. Just, you can, you know, just know that if we relist, we are not changing agents. And I was like, and I just got off the phone really fast because I didn't know what to say. And then I thought, wait a second, I am not doing anything wrong. I'm not, you know, I'm not spamming her. I'm not, you know, trying to sell her some ridiculous product or anything. I'm simply looking for a job. I'm out there pounding the pavement and I'm looking for work. And in a world where people are not working hard, I mean, employers tell us all the time, it is so hard to find good workers. I am doing an honorable thing. I'm outshining everyone else if I make these calls. And I don't need to feel bad if someone's rude. So, you know, I'm not standing on the side of the road with a sign. I'm, you know, I'm doing my part.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's, you know, I just want you to know that like, I mean, that was kind of an epiphany for me. Like, just consider me for the job, would you please? And I'm not great at this. I don't like it, but I decided that that's kind of where the world I need to live in right now. 'Cause it is exciting.
True that.
And it gets us hired. Yep.
I like it.
Yeah. So if any of you that want to come, anytime, I will be here Monday and Wednesdays, 9 to 11.
And I have heard great things so far.
Okay.
So I need to wake up for, it's not really that early. We know that I bitch about
You know
night,
you're out.
but.
Yes, by yourself.
What?
Monday she was by herself, so you guys. need to-
Well, I will need to get on Jessica then because she said wonderful things and that she was gonna push herself to be there every time. So I'll give Jessica crap for you on Wednesday. We had a hand raised and I don't want to say the wrong name again. All right, there you are.
Say it.
Anne Marie.
You did good. You did good. Hey, on the going through with what was just said, if you guys are inaudible at any time, Mel Robbins and those that were over there at family reunion, she explained the 5-second rule, which is really cool. On Audible, and you've got
No, you're a little bit frozen.
Look, I couldn't tell it was.
I don't know if you can see it.
Really hard.
Oh, you were frozen. You're a little still frozen. While she's frozen, if you guys go to YouTube and you go to Pick Up Lime's little YouTube channel where she does like just great food recipes, some of them have been sponsored by Audible. So at the end, if you haven't done Audible before, you can get a free book. And then you can buy whatever book Anna Marie's trying to recommend.
Nice.
Yep. You're still, wow, I can't type today. You are still frozen. Sad face.
So can I tell a story?
Yeah,
As it
no,
relates to all these people that we don't know.
yes.
My wonderful husband got a New Year's card and it said, Tom and Marcia, we can't tell you how excited we are to let you know that we are finally building. And it was, Tom sold him the lot 7 years ago.
Oh, that's cool.
And so what if we have a belief on those people that we call, that we're gonna find the nice ones, and if we can help them, great. But those that don't want to be helped, then just, I love it when I hear somebody say, well, that's wonderful. I just wish you the best, and I'll be looking for that listing. I mean, it doesn't take very much.
Yeah.
But another thing is to realize we have 5 very close friends that bought land with Tom. And it has been an amazing thing. So we never know those people that we call, they might be friends in, you know. So anyways, I
Oh,
just
you're
thought,
saying he bought them and now they're friends?
Yeah.
You've made friends?
yes,
with the client.
over the course of everything, yes.
Like, I hope your friends used you.
Yeah, anyways, it's, if we think, oh my God, I don't want to do this. Hi, how are you? It affects your voice. So we want to have, ooh, I wonder if this person's gonna be my new best friend. Hi.
I love that.
And it's so different. I mean,
Not when you talk.
yeah, because you can hear it. One quick thing. If you look at communication as a whole, the words you say are about 7%. How you say it is about another 15%. And then your body language is the rest. But on the phone, guess what? They don't like to do the video call. And so it's really important that we think about what are we saying and how are we saying it? And part of that is just starting out, okay, I'm gonna have fun today. I'm gonna find 5 people that like to talk to me, even if I don't get a job. And then that way, and then those that don't like me, that's fine. The faster they can hang up, the faster you can get on to somebody you like.
Yeah. Mindset switch.
They used to make us do that when we had to do cold calls. They would have us stand up and they'd have a little mirror so that you could look yourself and make sure you were smiling the whole time you were talking because they can't see your body language.
You would cold call people to try to get them to become a member of the gang.
So I'm checking, yes, and we had to call it dinner time. It was not fun.
Dumb. I would say no.
That's when they're home though.
Huh, interesting.
Before cell phones? Yeah, that was way before cell phones.
Weird. So you're mainly calling expired, like canceled right now?
We've done a couple different ones.
Yeah.
We've done expired listings and then we've done sphere of influence.
Oh, sweet. Have you guys heard of Jeff Glover? That name? He is absolutely wonderful. I think I took the most notes that I've ever taken in a class. Holy crap. So,
Podcast, which I just started listening to.
oh, nice. He even has his own app that you can download on your phone for like free resources, and he'll do a free coaching call. But he went through his entire expired listing appointment to where he has videos of him doing a listing appointment with people. And I got access to those. So Wednesday at 3, I'm gonna go over it with PC coaching people. So if anybody wants to come, then I have his whole shebang.
Was he at KWN?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, so he gave us all of his like pre-listing materials and all of his questions, and he's just great. So we will do that. And to change your mindset more to be happy about making phone calls, this Thursday, Fletcher will be here from 1 to 2. So come see Fletcher, because he is great. He's stuck in my mind after that weekend clinic. Yeah, no, Mel Robbins is in my head and Fletcher is in my head, and it's, yeah.
It's getting crowded.
It is a little bit. It's all good things. I did snooze my alarm today, though. I didn't yesterday, though. I did good yesterday. Well, I woke up. I didn't go back to sleep, but I just kind of like laid in bed and went to my email. So that's not a good habit either. But it's fine, you know.
You're counting on, then you'll get it.
No, would say,
Yeah.
would you invite some stranger into your bed? Like, that's what she, like, if you get on your social media or you get on your email before we're ready for the day.
Mm-hmm. It's an interesting way to think about it.
Yeah, I always think about that, I'm like, oh, this is weird.
Yeah. Since Michael and Sharon can't be here, do you guys have, any lending weird things or cool lending things? No?
No, but I have, another lender that gives me like updates. And, I was hoping I'd be able to remember what that new product was. But it was really cool.
It'll pop.
I know.
Middle of the night.
Yeah, that's some attractive marketing.
Yeah.
But you know what it is, don't know.
Really cool.
But you'll have to show up tomorrow morning to hear.
Okay.
Yes, yes. Marcia, you mentioned a weird thing with that stupid lender that with the excluded items or something?
Yeah, Sarah is
Oh,
on
seriously.
online and she's having to deal with a lender that's telling him on a completed contract, you have to remove the 36 and use a 34. Now,
That's weird.
yeah, is Sarah still on there?
I'm here.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about your weirdness? I kind of opened it up to that without asking you.
Sure. So, oh shoot, hold on, I got the timer going off. Oh my gosh. Sorry about that. This is the for sale by owner. The buyer was mine. We went mutual on the 29th. The buyers wanted to keep some of the belongings in the house. We wrote the 36 with a statement about commission, inspection of the septic grinder, and keeping some of the items in the house. And this lender from Evergreen Home Loans called me and said that, oh, we had to take that off. So we did a 34 that said to reference the 22D item number 10 and just strike that from the contract. She called me yesterday and told me that I needed to take the 36 out of the contract and create a new 34 with only the septic and the compensation sections. And she asked me to send what I was going to put on the 34 to her before it went out for signing, and questioned who I asked for advice.
That is the weirdest.
Yeah.
They don't really usually care about excluded stuff. They just care about included with like putting it no value. So that seems.
Well, that's it.
And 36
what
makes
the
no
deal.
sense.
So maybe I'm not making sense. So the buyers want to keep some of the things in the house, but the seller wants to make sure that he gets to keep a dresser and a chest of drawers.
Oh, gotcha.
So the dresser and chest of drawers are excluded, but she's having a fit because she said that if I want anything staying in the house, it needs to be itemized and priced. And
Lender is saying that or the buyer is saying that?
the lender,
You just put it no value.
Yeah.
That's weird.
we tried.
No, I've had it where a lender's done that and it's evergreen. As well,
Oh.
because they feel it gives value. They want it separate, do it outside the contract. So that those are personal items that shouldn't be on there. And I said, okay, I mean, it's just something between them. So you just mark, I think I ended up putting where it has about the personal items on 22D that they're going to stay there if left. And that I put on there, seller buyer to agree outside of escrow, to decide outside of escrow. So it was very vanilla, but it stated that there was an outside contract if they wanted to on the personal items, and the lenders don't care at that point.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Is 36 buyer brokerage compensation?
36 just a counter. So it sounds like, yeah, and they're
Oh, yeah.
counter,
And this
so.
is Evergreen, Sarah, that you're working with?
Pardon? Evergreen, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
that was
just
out here.
have particularly weird underwriting for their loans.
Crazy. Well, that's good to know. I love all these weird scenarios. It's how we learn. Huh? Well, no, I do kind of like them. Well, I guess it depends on who you're maybe using. Well, or I just haven't had a weird one yet, and now it's gonna happen. Well, thanks. I think is that all we have? Well, we have Marcia next.
I would just like to say that at the beginning of the contracts class, Department of Licensing is going to be auditing for our email correspondence. And if you text a lot, then you have to do a confirming email. Anyways, I wanted to go through that, and then I also wanted to show if I look at all my emails, how do I save them? And then how do I convert them to a PDF? So it's one document instead of uploading 24. And so I wanted to show that first thing in the contract class.
I'm getting calls on that too, on how to do that right now. I said we were looking into it.
And I'm
Yeah.
testing through DocuSign. There is a way, it didn't show up in my last one, so I'm troubleshooting. So yeah, with uploading communication, you should have got an email from Kelly yesterday about now there's a spot in command to put your communication. And DocuSign has to where you can create a room, and it has an email address to where you can CC that email in any communications. And then it will upload it into DocuSign, and then you can save it as a PDF. So the thing is I believe it's just one email for your entire DocuSign. So it wouldn't go to like the individual transaction.
I was thinking if you save them in a folder for each one of your deals, if you just have all your communications in a folder, then at the end of the deal, can you just drag and drop that folder into command?
No, it has to be PDF. And I mean, when you download emails as PDF, it looks like complete garbage, but that doesn't matter, I guess, if the words are still there, but it looks like crap.
And I thought
Yeah.
something about you can email through command. Would that be an option?
No, I mean,
No.
I mean, you can if you have your contact in there and email through there, but then it's just in command. It's not in compliance in command. So it's kind of just all a little bit crappy either
Yeah,
way.
it comes out and says you're supposed
Um,
to do all this, but they don't give us a way to do it.
Yeah, so, but the DOL is a DOL, and I guess we have to listen to the DOL and
Does it-
not try to get sued. So,
Dropbox have particular email address for each transaction?
which one? Dropbox?
Yeah.
I've never heard of that.
Cause I remember.
Dropbox?
Dropbox? No, it's,
Doc.
I thought it was called Docbox, but it's like, I used to be able to email myself, and it's Julie.docbox, blah, 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 whatever it is, I can't remember. But then there's a number after, and it references the transaction. And I remember using that in the past. I'll have to look into that.
Debbie Cincinnati said something about there's an app too that will convert stuff. She was gonna see if she could find that too and send me that information. I've just kind of been telling everybody, I was just giving you a heads up
Yeah.
because I don't really have a good way for anybody to do it yet.
Have they given you any indication when they're gonna start?
They've already started.
They've
This
started.
is actually a rule that's been in place for almost 3 years.
Yeah, Haniel, whatever office he's in at Transaction Dude, his place is being audited right now. So it's getting pretty local.
What do they want to know? It's actually our conversations with our clients.
Yeah, any communications you have between agents and clients and stuff, you need to always keep a file on. And now they're saying it has to be to where the brokerage can get access to it.
Like what, text message?
Like in opportunities.
They prefer emails. They don't even want you to text it, but if you text, they want you to follow up with an
Well, they
email.
need to be up with the
I know.
generation. Yeah, just get it to them.
Invented that rule.
Yeah. Well, Dropbox, Tom is kind of the Dropbox pro, right? Isn't that what he uses and
Well,
suggests all the time?
Dropbox Is for just exchanging information
Mm-hmm,
and documents and things like that.
mm-hmm.
I just don't know how to get everything from whatever everybody's.
I'm sure there's apps is,
Email is kind of easy, like the text message.
Like I wonder if anybody's talked to their provider, their cell provider, because you know how you can get like a detailed sheet, like maybe you can say, okay, I just need everything for this number. Give me a printout.
Oh, I didn't know you
You know
could do
what?
that.
I don't know if you can, but wouldn't that be nice if they could?
Yeah, that would be
There's
nice.
there's probably apps as well. But Amanda, you have a question, or is your hand from before?
No, yeah, I'm just really curious on like what's got us to this place, you know? Why the uploading to the office, you know, is this something that's being required by everybody? It's just what's best practices? It just seems like another layer of work. And because I'm just thinking about like when you start talking about this, then you're talking about like discussions between broker and broker. And I'm thinking about like all the communications that could be happening here.
It's essentially, it's always, well, it's been a DOL requirement, but I feel the kind of compliance implementation of it from the office hasn't really been in place, and now we're hearing about other offices that are local that are being audited, so now I feel like it's becoming more of a topic, because the region is bringing it up and kind of just warning about it, so I feel like it just kind of has become a topic again. At least if that sounds right.
Yeah, it came up on an MCA call where offices in Washington State were being audited and they were calling that out. That they were not saved anywhere where the office could get a hold of it. Some auditors will allow text messages, others say no, it just kind of depends on who you get. I think it's been a rule from the Department of Licensing for probably almost 3 years now. I think they're just now getting around to enforcing it. And so they were just giving us all a heads up, so I just wanted to give you guys a heads up, if nothing else, to make sure you're saving your own communications. So that if we do get audited, I can always like reach out, if they pull your file, I can reach out to you, say, Ashley, say, can you send me your
Start done.
communication?
Yeah.
But
Okay.
you don't have to document.
I don't believe so.
I don't think so.
What was
They
the
just said
question?
emails and text.
What was the question? Oh, yeah, and what if a client doesn't have email? Like Aisha's people don't have email.
I don't know.
You know, it almost makes you want to like just hire an assistant to do all of this
I
crap,
think
because it's
what's
so
gonna
time
happen is it's gonna
consuming.
come down to a case by case basis.
Yeah.
So in that case, I would say that in the communication part of it, then you would put a blank piece of paper and say, my client does not use email. And that's, I mean, what else can you say?
Yeah, pretty
I
much.
mean, if they don't have it.
Yeah.
And right now, there's no fines or anything. It's just an audit finding, and depending on, you know, who you get as an auditor on how strict they want to be with it. That usually if they catch something like this, they're gonna say, okay, going forward, you need to do this, this, and this. And the next time we get audited, if we have not put in a policy in place, then we'll get in trouble. And
Anna Marie, what do you mean a phone log? I've used Folio with Google, however, KW emails won't allow that use.
Phone log is an old fashioned, write it on a piece of paper and stick it in the file, and if you have to make a friggin' copy, make a copy and upload it, you know, tell them, hey,
I'm
there's.
not too worried about it at this point. It was just kind of a heads up that it could be an issue going forward.
But
And
also,
it
I
may
want,
not be. It's just kind of a heads up.
okay, what I used to use at my previous place here, because I think Windermere mandates it, their attorney mandates everything be on there, and I wasn't with Windermere, I was with CB. Folio is a Gmail, a Google product that just costs a few pennies, but it puts everything in the file, and then you can print it out at the end of the transaction and your whole dialogue comes up. But I've tried it with my KW account and it won't do it. It'll go with so if I communicate via my personal email, I can do that. I don't know why KW's is cut.
My feelings on it is kind of, if we do get audited and they bring it to my attention, I'll say, well, our agents keep that, you know, I'll play dumb. Our agents keep all their communications in their own files. Yeah. And then they'll tell me going forward, you need to have it here, and then we'll deal with it at that point.
That sounds good.
It's required in the command.
Yeah.
Hey, I got something.
requirement in command for
Does,
community.
Yeah, we just added that yesterday.
Go ahead.
if we're- okay, if we're using our KW emails, don't you guys have access to all of that with the KW domain?
No, once you get a password, it,
It's
I
password
don't,
protected.
yeah.
Yeah, no, we
Well,
don't
and
get,
that's not in the compliance part is the hiccup to this whole shebang. Is they want it in there like where files are held, which is the opportunities compliance part of it. I've been working with we've had those conversations on the like tech calls that I'm on, with the region on Fridays. And the main, yeah, I mean, I'm gonna hear more about Haniel's, audit that they're going through to kind of see what feedback they're getting. But yeah, I mean, really the only suggestion I've gotten now is utilizing DocuSign, which I'm testing on my current transaction. And yeah, I'm sure we'll find some more resources that hopefully don't cost anybody monies.
Yeah, I mean, there's apps that'll do like text messages, but like Adobe Acrobat is like $240 a year.
What?
yeah, we don't want to do
To
that.
do, like to convert your text messages to PDF, so you can just select one conversation and convert the whole thing.
Yeah, hopefully
Oh.
we'll find out more between Ashley's tech calls and the audits that are going on and.
I mean,
I'm hoping.
The wonderful thing you said is there's not like thousands of dollars of fines at the moment. So, but getting your hand slapped isn't a good thing. So we'll try not to have that happen. So,
Usually when they find things, they make you put a policy in place. You've got to send it to them that it's in writing, that this is the new policy. And then the next time they come around a year
Yeah.
or two from now, they'll double check to make sure we're doing what we said we do.
and then they'll realize that 90% of people,
And by then, maybe they'll say that's a dumb rule and they'll take it out.
yep,
is what
that'll
I'm-
be great. So we'll cross fingers, they figure out it's a dumb rule.
And I know it says required in compliance, but we're not gonna return things that, for that right at this point.
I don't even know where it is, so
It's at the
yeah,
very bottom.
it's not gonna get returned.
Yeah, it's almost at the very bottom.
All right. Anywho, I'm gonna switch the reins here to stop that video. Over to Marcia, and she will teach all the things. You want it on this one?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me leave. Unmute.
Yeah, these whole decades that are missing out of my life where I was a stay-at-home mom and,
Mhm.
yeah, just didn't pay attention to anything. I could barely email. Yeah. That's fine. But that's allowed.
Okay, so give me a half a second here. Okay, that's where I'm gonna be. Okay, so in your inbox for your emails, are you putting, oh, let me do this one first. This one is better. So when you have a client and I'm gonna go to listing because that's where all my clients are. So we all know that when you have a client, then what you want to do for each client is you want a folder for all the forms, like if it's a listing or if they have a offer. Many times they might have two offers, or one doesn't work out, another one comes through, but there are all kinds of ways that you can put all of that together in one really convenient little place. So when you do your emails, if we can go, let me see. Okay, so this is one of mine. Okay, so this client, they had 4 LLCs on this one development. So one of them was True Route 4. So that was the E lots at Majestic Heights. And so if I go in here and I take a look and it's for a certain, like this was a brand new listing, I can go back here now and I can take each one of these and then I can print them.
Together. You have to do them individually.
I've never tried it with a bunch.
I want to try that.
Well,
Well, show this.
let's try it and see if we
Yeah, maybe
can.
we can couple.
Okay,
It's your other tab next to it.
thank you.
Open it up, so we won't pull up.
All right. So let me go back out.
Yeah, that would be wonderful if you could just,
Well, let's just see if we can do it.
it would make it for all of us. each.
Oh,
Uh,
no,
um,
our little print thing didn't come up. Okay. So when you print that,
You get those little boxes next to the check mark. When you see, look what comes up next to the check mark, where that feels really it's the dots.
You can move it, you can grab it.
oh, yeah,
It's just a grabber.
yeah, okay. So if I take that one, and how many have Adobe software? Well, then this may not work for you, but there is a printer there, and then you can print, and then you can save it, and I can go back into my file and go back to my listings, back to the True Route there. And then I could make a new folder. And then I could do emails. And then when I go in there, oh, it's always helpful if you take your, oh, it's right there. So then I would date this. This is just how Tom and I date it. I would date it 24/02, and that was the 18th. And whatever, if there's a topic, and then I would just save it, and then it would be in that particular folder for them. It's a new habit that we're just gonna have to get in, to practice and get in, and then it's there. Okay, so for those of you that have Adobe, let me go in here and show you. I left these in here so I could go through. So maybe you end up with 25 or 30. You can either do it like by month, or you can do it all at once, or however you want to do it. But the easy way to be able to do this is then, oh, come on, there we go, is just go down and capture all the ones, which you'll want to do them all. And then, oh wait, no, I'm sorry, I have to open one. Okay, so now I'm rattled. No, I did that right. So then you have, well, let's just do these 3. Now, combined files and Acrobat. And then down here, you can't really see it because of that bar. I will put it up here. You combine your files. And then you have a document and it says binder up there. And so then I would put in here, save as. And I'd go back to my listing that I have. And I would go here and find my emails. And then I would go in there and then this is, then however you want to title it, True Root for emails. If I could spell it. And so then that would put those all in one document, and then you just upload that one document instead of 35 individuals. I'm very curious to see if they don't have apps or something that can make that be a lot easier.
Marcia, I figured out the doc box thing I was telling you
Yeah.
about. So in Transaction Desk, there's an email for each person that's attached to each transaction.
I
So,
didn't
like,
know that.
If you go in, tell me mine pulled up here, if you go into one transaction that you have. in
Okay,
Transaction Desk,
let me just see if I can get
Yeah.
there quickly.
and I don't know why I haven't been using this recently, but a lot of times, like a client will, use something and you want to like drop it into that transaction on Transaction Desk. You can just attach this email address and it'll send it.
Okay, so I've got my True
Okay.
Root, and where do I see?
Up to the envelope,
Up here?
click on it. Now that's your email address for that transaction. If you CC that on all your email transactions for that transaction, it'll all save it in there
Oh, that is so much better.
now.
That is fabulous.
Then you just down. Well, in here, do you see this little, this box on the left? You can see like your folders. You can see them all in here, and then, like, I have transaction stuff in there, my folders. You should be able to see it in each transaction. And then you can just go print PDF and download those. Something.
Well, so wait a second. So I have to include this in my emails for it to go, for the email to go in there, either on sending it out or if they send it to me in my reply.
Then you might have to forward, if they didn't include that email address, yeah.
Okay.
To that address. Why don't test that today with myself? I just can't remember, like, I'm in my transaction, I'm trying to see where those.
Mhm.
I think they land in your documents. I'm not, but I'm not mistaken. Transaction desk doing stuff, then it'd be.
Yeah, see, I clicked on that and didn't do anything.
Open?
Oh, well, so I just copied.
I just copied.
So,
Paste it somewhere in that transaction in the file, so you know. So you have it ready to go anytime you're using that.
now is this is for this file?
Yeah, but if they don't, if when they reply back, they don't reply all, then you're gonna have to forward it anyway.
Yes,
right? Yeah,
yeah, and they probably won't.
yeah, that's what I think is gonna be the biggest obstacle, is that the email string is gonna be compromised because they're not replying on it.
And it's like learning how to drive. My dad was so great, but every stop sign, it was mirror, 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 and then just double check. I mean, it's just a habit. And unfortunately, it's a really cumbersome.
I feel like I'm not gonna be able to make this a habit, but what I can do is like at the end of transaction, take that and then go through my email that has, and then just forward it, all the emails. To this one.
If you go back and you have them, if you have them highlighted or tagged from your email, then it makes it so much easier.
Let's search.
Oh, you don't keep
No, I keep everything. I just archive them, so they're not showing up in my inbox, but then they're all searchable. And so if you
Mhm.
just have your client email, you just type that in,
Oh.
bar and then everything with their email shows up.
So if you look at all of my folders that I have, you know that I'm married to somebody that's very analytical.
Yeah.
I mean, well, this is 13 years of stuff. Anyways. So that is one way to be able to do it. And thank you, Julie.
Yeah, and I just double checked, it does show up in your document, and it's basically, you're gonna see it, and it's just automatically, like, this is 2018, and it gives a string of numbers .pdf.
But the nice thing about documents is then you can go in and highlight all of that. and put that to PDF, so that's.
Yes, you know these are all your emails that you. Yeah.
Compared to the organized. Right.
Yes.
Maybe
That's
organized.
their problem.
Have a fun time with those.
Right, but you won't want me again.
All right.
Get lost in the minutia.
So any questions on that? And not that we have answers, but I'm speaking like I have somebody in my pocket here. Okay. So I wanted to go over that because Kelly sent out that SOS and said, I want you to be really aware of this. Okay, so I have my handout, and what we're talking about today is setting up a template for vacant land. And all the forms that I have may not be in everything, but it's a good place to start. And it is also a good place to be able to go and in the places that you can fill in, that you can include that information. Okay, I'm gonna come back to this. Oops, maybe not that small. And then, oh, come on. Wow. Please do not tell me that I didn't. Okay, there, here it is. Sorry. So I've been over this probably about 5 times. So, whoop, come on.
That's gonna be attached to Rochelle's thing, right?
Yes. Okay, so there's that. And then there's this. Okay, so basically it's the same information. You go into your Northwest MLS, you go into your transaction section, and then on the lower, on the left side, next to the bottom, usually there's a thing there that says templates. You push that, and then it just takes you through how to set up your own template. And the reason I like my own template is because I put all of my information, all of Keller Williams Realty NCW information, their license number, the office code, all of that on these that I use all the time. And then you have them, and you don't have to go to the Northwest MLS and look up the roster and see what those forms are. So this is just a recap of that. We went over that before. And then if you're working with a new client and you're going to be showing them property, whether it's land or homes, then the very first thing that you want to do I believe in command, I think it says consulting. And that's where you put your, where they initial the real estate brokerage in Washington. Which reminds me, any of you that had templates made up of the 22D, be sure to change the name of the pamphlet instead of the old name. I'm trying not to say it because I am having a hard time getting out of that. And then your buyer brokerage firm's compensation, and then a 42. That is what Russ wanted us to do initially. is it before we show property? Is it before we show houses? It sure is nice if you can get that, but that conversation needs to be made, and then at least before you write an offer, put these in there. These first ones on the consulting side.
Is that a tab? Is consulting a tab? I guess I haven't paid attention because it never was anything I had to deal with. Yeah, it's a tab up top, the information up. Oh, it's under opportunity. Okay. All right. Good.
Yeah, where, the settlement is the bottom, the settlement statements, and then the contract.
Oh.
And then if it's a listing or if you have a buyer's agreement, then that's on that top one. And I thought it said consulting.
Okay, well, you're probably right. I just never paid attention because nothing to me.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, and so then on the left-hand side, I just put in the first page because we didn't need to look at all of those. And then in red, I just kind of went through and just said, this is some place where you can populate it in advance. So the vacant land, we're not really going to go into these forms, but all we're going to do with these are the majority of the possible ones. And you know what, I don't, okay, that was a thought that I shouldn't have had. Okay, so if you can see that, so your buyer brokerage services agreement, there are some things that you can fill in, and then you go through, and I just like to remind you that you need the buyer's initials. Make sure that you have those on there on each of those pages, and then their signature, and then your signature. And then for the sake of Vanessa and Kelly and whoever answers the phone here, there have been occasions where the broker's not available, emergency has come up, and please make sure you have the buyer's phone number, at a minimum, their email address, so that if the office needs to contact them, that they can do that. Nobody sees this. It's not, it really should not be a part of a contract. It's your contract with your client, and it goes into command. Okay. Agency disclosure is the same. These have drop down, so you can put buyer or seller here. And then we just had one yesterday. They became the limited dual agent. I would really encourage you to get a brand new 42, even though your buyer or maybe your seller has signed one of these forms. That way they know, and they're agreeing that it's okay for you to be that limited dual agent. And so that's important piece of information there. On your vacant land purchase and sale agreement, there's really not much. I always do that the money is going to be held by the closing agent, and it's a forfeiture of money. Sometimes a client, I don't know that I've ever seen this on my clients, but sometimes they will say, no, I want to do the other one. You explain it, and then you do have to do what they say, even though it's stupid. Then down here, this way, you've got all your stuff already in there. Oh, you have to print your name there. Anyways, and once that's filled out, then in your template, and every time you pull it down, then that information, it just saves a little bit of time. The next one on the list is if they're doing convention or standard financing and not seller financing, then that's a good form to have in there. And there's really nothing in there to go in advance. Now, if you have a seller financing addendum, let's say that you're going to do the 22A, then you just pull down your forms and you just delete that one, and then it's not in your list. The ones with the asterisk, these are the ones that Russ has designated as best practice. 22D. There's optional clause. And I always check that because that's for our protection and the brokerage protection. And then these two statements, the buyer has read and received the real estate brokerage in Washington pamphlet, and the seller agrees to deliver Form 17 seller disclosure within 5 days of mutual agreement. And then it just realized that if this is an estate of, then they're not going to have a 17, so you don't need to put that in there. Mm-hmm.
The red marks 1 and 2,
Mhm.
isn't that already like done, like marked? So why do you need to write it out?
If you look at this form without this red, it's just a blank area.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we really encourage that Russ said that we need to document that your client has received and read this pamphlet. He even puts in his phrase and understands. Well, that's.
I just thought if it's already signed, like initials, obviously.
I see, yes. He does, he wants that in 2 places. He wants it initialed, the document, and then you can just upload the first page. I only go down to see the initials and the date in compliance. And if it's what you're sending them, and then you just take that document and put it in command, then that's fine. And then the seller disclosure. And once again, we need to have that be delivered, and that's to protect your buyer. On that, have them after mutual, and if they say, "Oh, it was in Associated Docs," then I just say, our compliance office requires that you email that. Can you take a quick second and just email one, and and then just blame it on compliance. Evidence of funds, typically the only time you use that is if there is like a cash deal. If you have where they're going to put maybe 30,000 down on a land loan, that's about maybe of a $90,000 lot, that's about 30%. So no, that it's a little bit more than that, but in an instance like that, it's really not necessary. They may ask for it, but usually if it's a cash deal, or if they're getting their funds from this 3 right here, we just need to be really careful because it is so close to being fraud if we say one thing here and they do something else. So it's really important that we identify what it is and where they're going to be getting these funds from. Number 2, they already have it. They can send it and wire it today. Number 3 is it's been promised, or they're getting it, or they have a HELOC or a whatever it is. And the other day, right here where it said, where was that? It must have been up here. It was a loan company. It was a lender that I'd never even heard of. And it was like ABC lending, or it was something like that. And I just, in the note back to the broker, I said, I'd really find out about who is that lender, because I've just never heard that name, whatever it was. And I should have put it on sticky. Let's see, the identification of utilities. Remember, you're not going to have the date or the buyer's name, but you can fill in the seller's name, the address, and then compliance requires every utility identified, then please include an address. and otherwise compliance sends it back. Okay, so this next document over here after utilities is 22 LA, Land and Acreage Addendum. Do you guys use that very much? Did you? Yeah. If you look at the manual, which I really recommend whenever you're using a document that you really don't know, then look up in where it says 22 LA on the other side, then you have the manual. And that's what this form is right here. So you see right here, it says this addendum may be attached in a purchase and sale agreement when the parties wish for the transaction, that the transaction be subject to certain contingencies listed in the addendum. Generally, this addendum should be used for a transaction involving a large parcel or parcels of property. You can use it in, a half acre, but it just it just doesn't make sense. And then of course the attorney review is included into this. So as we go through this document, there are all kinds of things that you just need to read and be familiar with this as it relates to large parcels or many parcels of land. But this is where I wanted to talk about it. Over here are all of your contingencies. If they want to get a survey, and remember these little boxes here are from the instructions on the first and second page. But if they want to do a survey, who's going to pay for it? Paid by buyer or the seller? So that's what you're asking. If you do a survey, how many days do we need to allow for a survey person, especially now we're coming into the busy season? How many days up here in Wenatchee, if you were to do that? In Chelan, it's over a month. Yeah, it's like 6 weeks out, or if you're lucky.
So why do you have 60?
No, the 5 and 6, those go back to the instructions up. Whoops, the instructions right here. Those numbers. Anyways.
So then you would just call and see.
Yeah, you need to kind of find out about that, because it's like your inspection period. You want to allow plenty of time for that to happen. It has for if they want to make sure that it perks. In all the years that you guys have been doing this, have you ever heard a property that didn't perk?
Yeah.
I have.
You have?
Yeah, it's for when they're looking for water and, or installing septic and the ground isn't ready for, to happen.
We've had that happen.
I mean, I haven't had it happen, but I've heard about it.
Yeah.
No, we also
I've long enough, like.
I did.
asking if we've ever had it happen.
Yeah, yeah, in
Most that happened in Malaga, and it's totally unsold property.
that's right.
Yeah.
So
It's
out of
like-
all of our collective experience, maybe there's been 2 or 3 times, but it's really important. If they are buying property and they want to put a septic system, they need to do a perk test.
And it's more expensive.
It really is not that bad. Okay. Let me see. On-site sewage system, which is really kind of interesting because usually large land, if they have it, but they don't. And then that has the water quality and quantity and timber. Now, the important thing about this is you're going to, however long you're going to do this, you need to put in the number of days here that you think to give you plenty of time to, and if you get a feel for it, if you can even get them to answer the phone like on a survey, that's really important. And then one of the big things on this, if you get into that, and it was zoned agriculture, usually we convert that to residential and it's just fine. But what happens if it was zoned timber? What happens to the new buyer? And they want to use a different, they're not going to use it for the timber. We have to be very careful because, and Vanessa can attest to this, because if you change that classification back to like residential, rural residential, whatever, if there are back taxes that were not collected because it was that timber classification, they could go back.
I've seen 7 years. 7 years.
7 years, they can go back and then the buyer is responsible for that, or the seller has to know about, it's just
I
horrible.
don't understand the reason behind it. It makes me mad. I mean, we had to do that with my mom's property and she had to pay 7 years to subdivide and divide, for the.
Yeah,
for-
because it went from agriculture and then
Yeah,
you're
it
gonna
was
subdivide.
great, to save money.
Yes.
It's not thing, but 7 years back.
Yeah,
Because the county wants to recapture what they felt, what they were being gypped out of by doing the classification in the first place and then giving it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's.
Yeah.
It's not fair. It's like, it's just.
so if you do large land, then just make sure that you find out what is the classification on that, because there's some liability there if it changes.
A little known fact about timberland is even if they want to continue timberland, you have to hire a planner, an actual land use or a forest planner, you probably know that. Forest planner, you have to have a specific designation, and I can't remember what it is now. You have, and there's a couple in this area. So I had someone in Kansas County, they bought it and kept it as timber, but they had to do this huge plan and pay for it. It was like thousands of dollars.
Wow.
So that's another.
See,
thing.
that's a piece of information I've never heard. Wow. So the land and acreage addendum, a lot of times new brokers will, ooh, yeah, I want that. And then they'll have that with other ones like attorney review and the septic and the well and stuff like that. So when I see that and I'm reviewing it, it kind of lets me know this is a brand new person or is not very versed in that. This also will set up where you do a well addendum and septic, and this is all pretty boring from here out. Attorney review, title. I had 3 offers last week, not from our people, came in without a title report. How do you buy any property without a title report? I mean, that just was weird. And the modification, and then the Form 36. And then the last thing that I'll say on that, if you have a template and you put it up there, and in this one, it's going to be vacant land, you're going to write up an offer. Well, then you know that you're going to represent the buyer. And so this counteroffer addendum takes precedent or supersedes any conflict or ambiguity in the original purchase and sale agreement body and the seller counteroffer. If they counter back to you, these are the words that the attorney for this firm have said on a counteroffer. Then, of course, if it is not, if you are representing the seller, you have everything except for and the seller counteroffer. Okay, so one other thing I would like to say, and let me just go back and because I have it open, I can do it real quick, I think. Nope, this one. Okay, so I'm gonna close this. And I'm in my my transaction desk. And this is where I hit, if you hold it there, it says templates. And then you hit templates there. And then you add a new one. And then for goodness sakes, after you do that, let me just, oh, I did one for Louise last week. Let's just look at that. And then it comes down here and here's the forms, all the forms that we put in. So for all of this, and then every time you add a document, be sure to update it. so it saves your changes. And that's where you find that in there. Any questions?
Can you show that verbiage again on the 36?
You bet.
Because I'm making the template right now. I know there's one in here for resume, but it doesn't have that. Land and acreage agenda.
Okay, so let me put this back out so you can see it. Whoop. Oh, wait, that's not what I want. Here it is. Okay. And these will, I'll send these to Ashley and Ashley sends it out with the
Oh, perfect.
notes. Yeah, so you'll get that. All right. It's really picking up. I stopped looking at orders yesterday at 1:30 because I went on a showing. And then I was getting ready this morning and I just took a peek and I had 22. So, I mean, it's really, yeah, I haven't looked in my command yet because that makes me feel, oh my God. All right. Thank you. Anything else?
Thank you,
right.
Marcia.
We want to look at yours. And Sarah, if you're still on the line.
I am.
Then as soon as I get back, I'll call you.
Okay.
See if there's anybody here. Yes. And Desiree. All right. Okay, you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Marcia.
You're welcome.
Bye.